All right. Hello, world. Hope we're all doing amazing today. So today I just wanted to speak to you a little bit about what Soul Clinic is and how we work. Basically, just a few of our core values, and then we'll just dive into what a journey looks like here at Soul Clinic for you to just get a little bit of a basic understanding. And we'll also dive in a little bit more to prices. The current prices, I would say. But yeah, let's dive in. Yeah, one thing I wanted to start with was just to mention some of our core values for you to understand a little bit better what are we about, how do we see the world. Because, of course, we can just dive in and tell you how we work, but we want to tell you also who we are. So, one of the most fundamental core beliefs that we share here at Soul Clinic is that it's up to each human in this world and who are coming to us and who are working with us, it's to for them to find their own truth. We can only help them discover based on their situations, but to skillfully navigate the sea that's their current situation in life. And for some people it's going to be a little bit stormier at the moment, for some people it's going to be a little bit calmer, but we're not just here to give you the fish. We're here to provide you with an understanding of how you can spend the rest of your life fishing for more of your own truth, learning more about yourself, becoming more in touch with what work fulfills you, what kind of people provide you with a sense of belonging, and what kind of passions and hobbies make your life feel more like an adventure instead of just a homework. Um, there's some common frameworks that we use to help people find this truth. But at the end of the day, we only provide the outlines, and you'll be the one filling out all the colors. Also, for you to be curious about what excites you, and that also applies for us and for each person working within the organization. We believe that when we find what we're naturally curious about and what naturally excites us, we get better at getting better. We get better at our work, at studying, about learning, feels more exciting. We have more of this natural energy that kind of feels like this fire inside of us. And most of us have encountered this at some point in life, that when you're in school and you're at the most boring class that ever existed and you're almost falling asleep, that's because doesn't have anything to do with who you are and what your path is in this life. Sometimes we have to take these classes when we're kids, but we're not anymore, so we can skip those. But we're here to help you to find what excites you in this life and about yourself and about your journey. Another thing is that whatever weight you're carrying is not yours. We believe that society hasn't educated us enough on how do we deal with the traumas, with with the heartbreaks, or with the tough times that is a natural part of life. And as a result of that, we have to carry around these extra added weight on our shoulders that, of course, we have to deal with them. We have to learn how do we face these in a natural and skillful way. How do we navigate these kind of hurdles on the journey? But since we never got to learn that in school, and probably most of our parents maybe didn't know how to navigate these either, that we're just left with a lot of weight on our shoulders from our life that turns into behaviors, erratical behaviors, negative thought patterns, destructive kind of routines and behaviors and loops that just puts us deeper into this hole that we've been kind of digging for ourselves, or that these behaviors have been digging for us. And we believe that teaching the people that come to us how they can navigate these and how they can understand these is a part of letting these old wounds heal so that they're just scars that we can be proud of and that we can carry out throughout our lives, and that makes us us, that makes us unique. This one is, I mean, in general for humans, I think it's a great one, but mostly for us who work here in the organization, is that how you do one thing is how you do everything. Basically, just whatever you do, just give it your all. Just do it the best way you can, and we never cut any corners. We don't want to overlook any things, no matter if it's just a little tea bag left on the counter that we feel, or in the sink that we feel, I'm in a rush, I can do it later. But no, we do the best that we can, always. And this is a basic one, but treat yourself and others with compassion and kindness, and just kind of treat others how you want to be treated yourself. It's quite a basic, universal golden rule by now, I reckon, but I think it's definitely one worth mentioning. And just to always keep surrendering to compassion and kindness. That's what we want to do. And with that said, now I want to dive in a little bit to the basics of soul progression. And yeah, you might be thinking, when are we getting to the journey? It's coming. But this is very important for you to understand, because this is kind of the guide, our north light, our compass for how we create everything that we do here. So we have a belief that there's two parts of the human experience, and for our souls to progress and for our minds to become freer, to be closer to happiness, to let go of whatever isn't ours. And there's two parts of this. And the first one is what we call informational knowledge. And that dot consists of books, what we read in books, videos and podcasts, from school, from therapy, basically informational knowledge that helps us understand ourselves and our environment and our world in a better way. In therapy, they help you to see kind of like past your emotions, they help you to see traits that maybe you didn't see. For podcasts and videos, there might be stuff that is quite therapeutic, help us with life, help us understand it better. Books are a good example as well. School to a certain extent, but this is only one part of the equation, because we can have informational knowledge, but if we don't have any experiential understanding, we will never be able to create a full connection and a full understanding between basically taking this knowledge, this informational knowledge that we learn, and applying it to our own situation. It can never be done without the two of these dots connected. And one of the most basic ways that I like to talk about this is that, imagine, I mean, for me, for example, I'm from Sweden. Sweden is a very cold place and we have a lot of snow in the winter. But if I meet a tribesman from Africa who has lived there and been there his whole life, he's never seen snow, maybe he's never even heard of snow, and I try to explain to him and get him the full understanding of what is snow. I can explain to him for 100 years, or make him read 100 books on the topic of snow, on the molecular structure and how it works, how it's made, and everything. But he will never fully understand it for himself, what snow is and how it feels, until he holds a piece of snow in his hand, whether that's a snowball or just picks it up from the ground. So this experiential understanding is crucial for us to put this into our own perspective. And these usually come from, one of the most basic ones is just that you live life. You go out there, you spend your youth trying out different things. You grow up, you have a family, you grow old, and then it's easier to understand that this knowledge that we learned when we were kids, or when we were young, or when we were growing up, that now you can fully understand it. There's other ways of going outside your comfort zone, for example. That can be through traveling, that could be through trying new activities, meeting new people. we kind of accelerate this experiential understanding and the experiential learning. A really big one is also traumatic experiences. So, maybe you have a car crash, maybe a loved one dies, maybe we get fired from a job or something like this. But when these traumatic experiences when they happen, we come back to something, an understanding that we maybe knew inside of us or that we've heard from others to say that, life is short. It's a very basic one, but we're never fully going to understand it until maybe we have an accident or something happens with our bodies or we have an injury or whatever. And it's a shame that, you know, some of the most effective ways to get this experiential understanding is through traumatic experiences. But that's why we're doing what we're doing today, because we believe that psychedelic therapy and psychedelic experiences is the most efficient way to create experiential understanding from the informational knowledge we have gathered throughout our lives or throughout our recent times, whatever is closest to our hearts, to put that into an experiential understanding from our point of view, from our situation in this life. So this is why we do what we do basically, and this is what we call the basic pillars for soul progression. So then we are here at Soul Clinic Barcelona. So this is our clinic in Spain at the moment, our only clinic around the world. We have two more coming next year, but that's a topic for a different day. Anyways, this is beautiful space. It's very magical little land. It's 12,000 square meters, so I think that's 1.2 hectares of land that we have at the moment. It's the base of the house of the old farmhouse of the Masía, as they call her in Spain, is 800 years old. So there's a lot of energy, a lot of magic gathered over this time. And but the top part, basically where you will reside and where our clients come, and they'll be on the middle floor, and the middle and the top floor, they're newer. So on the top floor is actually where I live with my wife, for us to maintain and take care of the land and for the people and the facilitators that come to work here. And as you see, there's a pool with a freshly made little pool deck overlooking the mountains. We have a little jungle as well, which is, I don't want to say too much, will be for you to explore when you come here. And yeah, there's a lot of spaces for just silence and reflection. And it's a really beautiful space. It's a type of silence, a type of stillness that I personally never felt in my life before. And I lived in 4 different continents and in many different cities. And even though I grew up in one of the countries with the most forest kind of per capita in the world, I never experienced this kind of stillness and solitude. So I really hope you get to taste it one day, if not here, somewhere else in the world, because I think it's really healing for the human being and for our souls and for our minds, just in itself. So this is Soul Clinic, and now we'll dive into the star of the show, the journey itself. What everyone's been waiting for. Anyways, this preparation is the first part of our journey, and there's 3 parts of it. There's preparation, and then there's the session, and then there's integration. So the preparation consists of 3, usually about 1 hour long meetings, where the aim is basically for us to, first of all, for you and for us, or for me if I'm your guide, or if it's someone else, to get to know you better, to see where you are at the moment, who you are at the moment, what's weighing you down, but mostly for you to see who you are at the moment, what's weighing you down, or what's the what's the landscape of you looking like. So during our first meeting, we start with depending on your experience with inner work or with psychedelics, we'll do a little bit of an intro. Then we'll go over some of the preparation questions that I'll mention later as well, but it's basically just a handful of questions that you will answer before you start your preparation, that we'll go over a little bit. And then what we'll do is something we call emotional assessment and psychological analysis. And this is a little bit where our kind of, where you say like studies come in. And what we do is we basically go over what's your emotional state at the moment without diving too deep into the nuts and bolts. But yeah, your emotional state at the moment and what your psychological landscape kind of looks like at the moment. As I mentioned, for all of us to get a better understanding of where you are at this point in time and in your life. We'll also go over expectation management a little bit. We all come from different backgrounds with different stories, different kind of reviews about psychedelics and about their effect. So what we go over is just a little bit of what are your thoughts on this kind of journey and of psychedelics and what do you expect to get out of it, etc. And wherever we feel that there's need, we maybe calibrate those expectations a little bit, just for us to be on the same page. And then we go over some Voyager criteria. Basically, it's a fancy word for screening, but that will be done before. And also, you will have some time to let us know what you expect from us, and we'll also let you know what we expect from you during this time. Then, after that, we'll dive into the second meeting, and during the second meeting, between the first and the second meeting, there will have been reviews and transcribing done of the first meeting together, and all these meetings are recorded, and they're only for your eyes and for our eyes, and this is all legally bound. Anyways, the second meeting will then be a review of just what your emotions and your psychological kind of world looks like at the moment. So the guy that you'll have been assigned will go over that and read through the transcription of our first meeting over again, and we'll take notes and we'll make comments that we will dive back into during the second meeting, just to see if there's anything that we feel like we can dive deeper in, as we said, for you to get to know yourself or for us to get to know you better. Then we'll keep going with a little bit more of the emotional assessment, psychological analysis, fancy words for getting to know ourselves. So during the second meeting, we'll also have a personal diet prescribed to you. And so that'll consist both of food, what we eat and what to consume. But what's also very important to us is the type of content, the type of conversations that we have, what we watch, everything that we consume is a part of this diet. And just a few words on how we can prepare the body and the mind a little bit better. And then during our third meeting, that will be a bit of a lighter one. We'll do just a little check-in to see where you are at the moment, where your thoughts and your feelings and maybe even your dreams have been during these last few days, and how we feel for our time together. Usually this happens a few days before you arrive. And then we also have some personalized readings that we'll provide you with. Usually these are 2 to 3, 4 maybe readings that will be assigned to you by your guide, depending on what kind of areas that you're tackling. And we'll talk a little bit about what to bring, so what to pack, more or less. We'll also provide you with a few custom meditations that we have made ourselves, that has been recorded with a basic framework, it's a basic guided meditations through the lens of psychedelics. So basically, talking a little bit about why we're doing these meditations, what it means to go inwards, and how doing these meditations can help prepare our soil for us to create a more diveable experience when it's actually time for the ceremony itself. But we'll go over that a little bit more when we see you. And we'll talk a little bit about schedule and transport, and that basically wherever you come from, I mean, if you arrive at the airport, we'll come pick you up from there. If you're arriving from Barcelona city center, we'll help you to get from there as well and get you on the best way to get here. And so all of that is included. And yeah, that's it for the preparation. So the sessions or session itself, it's either a 3, so a weekend, or a 5-day journey. So you have 2 different price points, and one is for if you do 2 ceremonies, one is for 1 ceremony. And yeah, so one is 2 ceremonies, one is 1. Also, all the food, the drinks, and the accommodation is all included in this one price that you will see very soon. There'll also be time for daily reflection and for integration in between these sessions. So, for example, if you come on day 1, we have your maybe first psychedelic ceremony, and maybe day 4 or 5, then we'll do the second one, depending a little bit on how your situation is looking, but that we go over later. But we have 1 daily integration. There'll also be time for you to do a lot of reading and writing on your own. There's going to be space for creative exploration. So we will have a few creative stations around the land and around the space where you can explore different musical instruments, and you can do some painting. There'll be, yeah, as I mentioned, writing is an option. There's even like if you want to build something, there's going to be space for that. Basically for you to express yourself and see whatever calls you and what you feel like doing in the moment. So there's also a lot of nature hikes around Soul Clinic. So that will also be available if you feel like going on some hikes and seeing the mountains, seeing the nature, immersing yourself in Mother Earth for a moment. And of course, there'll be time for free play. Most of the time will be free play, and however you want to fill your time, if it's with hikes, creative exploration, writing, or reflecting or reading, there'll be a lot of books there too. It's going to be up to you. So this is your journey, and we're here to honor that, and we want to make sure that you don't feel that there's a need to do anything. Whatever you feel like doing, we'll follow that. So this is your journey, and that's about it for the sessions. I'll mention just briefly sessions. So if you're 2 people coming as a couple, it's very important for us, and we'll talk a little bit more about this during our intro call, that if you're a couple, there's 2 of you, and it's very important for us that we acknowledge that during our time together, that you both are here individually to find the kind of life that you want to live. And then when we have done that, we can start painting kind of this middle canvas that is the one that you're supposed to paint together, on what kind of life you guys want. But as I mentioned, we'll talk a little bit more about that if that's something that interests you. During the integration, we have 2 meetings. So the first meeting is about a week after you left Soul Clinic, where we just check in how you feel at the moment, what's happening. We go over a little bit about some of the insights that you've harvested at your time here, and yeah, visit some old brushstrokes to see how your colors are feeling once back in society. We go over some integration questions that you will have answered during your time here as well. We'll do a little review of your sessions and what was said, and how you feel about this, and then just some integrated reflection, which is basically just a fancy word for having a chat about anything that comes to your mind or anything that comes to the mind of your guide or the person that has been with you on this journey. And the second meeting will happen 1 month after, and this will be a bit of a wrapping up of our time together, where we'll do a little bit of reflection on the journey as a whole. We also do a little bit of review of where you were before this journey, and where you are now, 1 month after. And we'll also provide you with something that we call the Soul Clinic wrap-up file. And this is basically a PDF or a little booklet where you will be able to find all the meetings that we have had, both before, during, and after, for you to be able to come back and see what your journey has been like, not just now during our last meeting, but for the rest of your life. You can come back and see, where was I before this journey? What were some of my biggest insights, and what did I learn about myself? Because these lessons, we're going to have to keep repeating them, keep learning them, keep reminding ourselves of these, maybe for the rest of our lives. Some of them maybe just for a bit, and then they'll be there in the back of the mind without needing any reminders. But some of them we might want to revisit, and have time to have the opportunity to do that. Makes a big difference, for the people that we've worked with so far. So yeah, that's a little bit about the integration, and we'll just then have a final few words, a final virtual hug before we say goodbye. Now, maybe what most of you have been waiting for as well. It's something very interesting, the price. And with our pricing, our only goal is to provide you with value for the rest of your life. And this is to help us being able to sustain, the people that are working for us, our families, but also to be able to support our research projects and our clinical trials that we're funding ourselves, and from the development of our apps to keep helping people. Anyways, so there's two different options that you have. So you have a 2 ceremonies or you have a 1 ceremony option. We always recommend 2 ceremonies because we've noticed that both from personal experience, but mostly from the experience of our clients, previous clients, that people who did 1 ceremony, usually the strongest benefits and the insights, they kind of last for a couple of weeks, maybe a month or two, maybe a bit more for some people, maybe a bit less for some people. But when we tap in and do a 2 ceremony journey, we notice that the first ceremony acts more as a shower, cleansing off all the kind of dust and all the weight from society that we've just gathered from, being alive, kind of. And then the second ceremony becomes this deep integration of everything that blossoms after the first ceremony, and we fully understand what it is that we're doing, what it is that we're talking about, and what it is that we're receiving. So usually then it's more like 4 to 6 months, or it can be up to 12 months as well, that we notice the biggest, kind of both neurological but also psychological differences from the people that just do 1 ceremony. But with that said, 1 ceremony is also great if you have a little bit less time and if you want to do a bit more of a check-in. But if you're going for a deeper letting go, of old weight, 2 ceremonies will definitely be more efficient for you. So 2 ceremonies, they have a few different price points, a few different journey types. So you have the single day journey, which is at the moment 1,250 per person. You have a 2-person 5-day journey, which is 950. So that's if you're coming with a friend or with a couple, you'll pay that price each. If you come with 3 to 5 people, maybe some friends of yours, maybe family members, it's 750 per person. And if you do a group retreat, with usually it's about 5 6 people to about maximum 12. Then it's 550. And as I mentioned, these prices include everything. And here you have some prices for the one ceremony. As you can notice, the group retreat isn't available for weekend journeys. So yeah, if you have a weekend journey in mind, it's either with a few friends or with one friend or one partner, or it's a single journey. And as I mentioned, these include everything, the transport to from airport if you're flying here, all the food, everything that you could think of or that you might need. Yeah, the plant medicine, the preparation and the integration before and after your time here. So this is all inclusive. So yeah, where do we go from here then? So a few steps. So if you decide that this is something that you feel curious about, that this might be for you, and that you want to go ahead with starting your own journey, the first step would be to press the button down below to fill out an application form where you let us know just very basic things, just your name, your phone number, your email, have you done psychedelics before, etc. Like, I think it's just a handful of questions. So we start from there, and then upon that, during either the same day or the day after, a guide will from Soul Clinic will reach out to you, and you'll set a time for a call, basically where you guys go over a little bit about you, but mostly about setting a date and aiming for a time for your journey, and then also putting down a date for the first meeting. So we kind of start the process and have the time frame in mind. And if you want to do it right away, or if you want to do it in 3 months or 6 months, that's completely up to you. This is your journey. And we'll also do a little bit of medical screening during that first call, just to check that you're good to go, basically, from a medical and biological point of view, but also just legally that you know everything that's going on, because we want to make sure that you feel as safe and as cared for as possible in this whole journey, so to speak. And upon that, we'll leave you with a few prep questions, which is for you to fill out on your own time. It's just a form that you fill out online. Not a form, it's kind of questions, just about where you are at the moment in life. Um, it's quite straightforward, to be honest. So yeah, that's kind of it for today. I mean, I hope to see you soon, and even if we don't, I hope you have a beautiful journey in this life, and that you find whatever you're looking for, and especially your own truth. Uh, all my love, and to you, and to your family, and to your loved ones. Take care.